Hi, this is Anna Balkan, and today I invited an absolutely amazing woman, Dr. Arlene Dijamco.
Yes,
How did I do?
Dijamco.
Dijamco. I've practiced.
You did it.
Yes. So Arlene is a very interesting MD. Unlike anybody I've ever met before in that field. I've met people who are interested in things outside of their specific field, but Dr. Arlene Dijamco
Yes.
is multidimensional MD. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what that really means to anybody who's listening.
Yes. So I have my own podcast called The Multidimensional MD. And my mission is to help wake up medicine and to help bring that multidimensional aspect back of like mind, body, and spirit. So I really want to be able to tie in these aspects that feel maybe intangible, like the emotions and mindset and the spirit, and make them more tangible for people so that they can help themselves heal. And my background is as a pediatrician, but I'm also an integrative medicine physician, so I see all ages, and I'm a cranial osteopath. And my practice is All Worlds Health in Roswell, Georgia. So thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be able to share with you. And look at our matching colors.
We just saw each other. Oh, I'm like, it's exactly same green.
This was unplanned.
Well, I wore something that has color.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you got your color.
Anna's jewelry. Yes. This is how
we actually bonded over, I think on Instagram, you liked one of the pieces, which happened to be green piece as well. It was kind of the mint green. And then we happened to be in the store at the same time. And then this is the piece you walked away with. So I got to know you in that
green. Amazing conversation and about holding this piece. So.
And I said, we're going to talk together again. So one of the things that we actually bonded over, which was no surprise, was our love for color. And as you know, if you ever been to my store, it's definitely very different. Everything is colorful. So knowing that somebody walks through the doors and is so open to every color, actually my question to you was, is theirs, because you were trying to look at different pieces. I was like, is there color you're actually gravitating towards? And you're like, I love all color. I was like, wow, I love you. So I know that we all have experiences with color from very different perspectives. Mm-hmm. And people experience color very differently.
Yes.
First of all, not everybody can see color exactly the same way, but also color means a lot of different things to people. So when I opened the store, actually exactly 10 years ago, one of the things that I realized, it was kind of my refuge. I was going through a tough part of my life, and I've noticed that I wanted to be in my store more. And it never really occurred to me that first year to what about it that brought peace and comfort and balance to me emotionally. And as people were coming over the years, one of the things they say when they wear bright, colorful jewelry, happens to be my jewelry, they feel uplifted, they feel beautiful, they feel bright and joyful. And we have men who love telling us, you put something bright and colorful on my wife and she's smiling and she's happy and I'm a happy husband. So I wanted to ask your perspective on what is the correlation between color and joy in your personal life, in your experience, in your studies.
Yes. And I mean, it was when I opened my practice, gosh, how many years ago? 8 years or so ago, in 2011, it was intentional. I wanted to create this space of healing. And like what you said, when you go into your jewelry store, you just wanted to be there. And I wanted to create this space where when people came in, they automatically started to feel better. And one of those elements was like bringing in color. And I think at the time I did it more intuitively, but there's been a lot more that's been written up about color. And this is a really great book, Joyful, by Ingrid Lee. And she did an amazing TED Talk on what brings joy. So she's a designer. She designs like furniture and interiors. And one of the things that she found repeatedly that brought people joy was color and these pops of color. There were other things like the shapes of things and how they were grouped together, but color was a major theme. And when we're talking about joy, so the psychologist will describe joy as this intense momentary feeling of positive emotion, and it'll be accompanied by smiling and laughing and this feeling of wanting to jump up and down. So you might even think of it as kind of like this childlike joy because it's a kind of a high energy feeling. And for me, like joy is also about being like blissfully connected to things, like feeling like you're really yourself and your authenticity, and whether it comes out as this jumping up and down feeling, you feel like you do have energy. It's a peaceful energy so that you can like go forth and express yourself and create and be who you are in the world. And so that to me is joy. And over and over, I mean, you can see the color of her book. And then if I take off the paper, like you can see like all those pops of color there, which is really neat. And there's stories of like this nonprofit called Public Color in New York City, and they use color.
I was gonna say, hold on 1 second. No, before that. So there are aspects. I want you to stay with her for a second because you shared something with me that was incredibly just hit home from her book, and I think it's from the TED Talk. What were the key elements that that she correlates to color, to joy,
to color, to joy?
Yeah, it was colorful. It was vastness. It was balance.
Yeah. So it's a feeling of so there's color. There's a feeling of upliftingness, and it's like expansion. So anything that kind of like expands helps you feel like more joyful. And it's like hot air balloons or fireworks. So there you get like color and this feeling of expansiveness. And it's also a harmony or balance. So in how things are arranged, there's something about it that feels symmetric, not symmetric in like, you know, completely like mirror image way, but it's more like balance and harmony. Or if you look at like nature and how the flowers and things like grow together, there's something really beautiful and balanced about it. And so that is also another quality that gives like joy. You put all these characteristics together. Another one is the shape of things. So roundness or like curves and stuff tend to bring joy. And, you know, part of that may be that roundness is less threatening. You feel safe when things are round. It's like a nest. And so you think about round things like just throwing confetti in the air. So during times of celebration, or glitter, or sparkles and fireworks again. So, you know, you see these elements like start to come together. And then when I think about the jewelry, like you see the balance in it and then all the color. And it's just like, it gives you this feeling of, that you start to feel happy. And sometimes you may not be able to identify why. But those were the elements that she saw. There's others too, but color.
Yeah, there were 5 elements. Let's recite it for everybody. So color. The next one is shape, which is more
roundness. Yep.
Color, shape. The third one was more of a vastness, so it has some energy flow to it. Vastness, openness.
Yeah, that transcendent kind of feeling.
Then it was balance, which is, she calls it symmetry. But we've discussed,
it depends on where you look, because like different places she starts to say like harmony and balance.
And people do confuse actually symmetry for perfection and mathematical formulas, and I'll talk about just in a second. What was the 5th element? There was a 5th one that
well, there's like multiple ones. There's like a sense of like freedom and play.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That was the one. That was the one. The more of kind of youthfulness that it creates, it makes us feel and go back to kind of childlike emotions. And
Yeah.
one thing that I was going to talk about balance, which is I always, like you mentioned nature, I have to correct people when they come in, like, no, I need symmetrical, like this bothers me, this is here, this is there. But I've used 3 rules. I didn't know about her book. So I always said my designs it has to be balanced: shape, texture, and color. So, and for me, texture is that uh, it's not so much roundness that it creates, but it creates 3-dimensional. It opens everything up when you start playing with textures that are dense. And I always tell people, actually, I wore this because I knew you were going to list out some of these things. Like, this is an example of vastness, the balance, the expression, that usefulness. And so these type of things make me very excited when I actually get to hear somebody recite to me a logical way to express what I've noticed when people put things on. There's just the smiles. Oh my God, that is. And I think one of the rules when it comes to finding joy, and it's if you look at something and it makes you smile, even if it's for like a second, hold on to that thing, whatever that is. And so yes, you started talking about, I was going to ask you more questions, but do you want to dive right now into
I'm here for whatever.
Okay. Yes, I definitely want to talk about that next thing that you mentioned. But one of the things that you and I actually ended up talking for an hour before, so I almost like, wait, we already talked about that, but maybe not right now. So we talked about what color relation may or may not be to fulfillment. And you were sharing with me a little bit about your closet.
Yes.
Would you tell a little bit about your own experience with color and your own feelings about color?
Okay, well, so, a color, like how you feel about color is very individual. And we have, there's the cultural aspects of color, like red could mean one thing in one culture and another thing in another culture. And then there's your personal kind of like memory feelings about color. And so my favorite color when I was growing up was orange, because my room was also orange. And so I really, everything I wanted was orange. But then at some point in my life, I sort of like strayed away from orange. I didn't have anything orange. So when I was looking at like, okay, how to balance myself, bring balance in my life, I decided to organize my closet by color. So like rainbow color. And then I could take a look and see like, okay, what areas could use some balance? Because really, like what you said, any color can be amazing. And if you feel balanced, then you can feel okay and great with any color. So I started to see that. I was like, oh, I don't have orange things anymore like when I was growing up. And then in high school, I remember my favorite color was red. But then at one point I was like, oh, I don't have red things anymore. So I started to see, I was like, okay, well, let me start to bring in more elements of this, whether it's in accessories like jewelry or clothing. I'm going to just bring pieces of those into my life in a way that felt good to me. So it wasn't forced or anything, because I could pair it with anything else that I had. But to expand my colors in my closet, and that translated to feeling actually more balanced and more grounded, and being able to relate with people on all different levels. And yeah, so once you get to see, you can start to understand each color. And then when you understand that, you can also understand like different kinds of people, or because people will have their favorite colors. And then like brown, somebody could say, I love brown. Another person could say like, oh, nothing brown. But it doesn't, every color is valuable.
Well, I actually, you brought up some memories, so I have a few funny stories. I'm sorry, I keep fixing my hair. I don't know what's happening here. So part of what we also do as a service, we do styling. So there's few ways to go about it. You either photograph the jewelry you have and I'll show you the gaps like you did, like you look
Yes.
at your closet and see rainbow.
I love that.
Yeah, so I love doing that because I can really see like, oh my God, I see you and I know what's missing. But one thing I love doing, a few people let me come to their closets. It's before Zoom existed. And I remember my first client that I went to her closet because in order for me to build your collection, I have to go see what you have. And she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, but always sad. She's just very sad, just kind of, very deeply into her own day-to-day and not so expressive. It was very interesting. Her closet, no joke, black, 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 white, black, 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 black. I don't remember it was gray. Maybe there's one top that was gray. Everything was black and white. And it was very interesting after the closet experience, kind of looking at it. I started drawing some parallels to, wow, it's how she's willing to express herself, which was limited. So after a few years of working with her and kind of watching her wardrobe develop, I remember even her husband coming up saying, oh my God, she's a new woman. And her closet, almost everything black is gone. So introducing, as I always said to people, no matter where you come from, you may be 80 years old and this is the first time you even open your eyes to what your closet looks like. But ironically, closet is truly kind of an expression to where your mind is at. You're going to have all black because it's corporate, then integrate some brighter things into your life, because even if you have black on, just put something, and we'll talk about it, something close to your face that brings life, that allows you to express yourself to the world. So my first takeaway, I would love to ask you guys, just for the fun of it, just pretend you're a guest in your own house. Open your closet just like you would go to somebody else's closet and take a look and be just honest. Just kind of scan across what you have and get just the feel for how do you express yourself to the world. That will give you a little hint, a little indication to maybe how you feel. And I'll tell you what, Arlene and I are wearing green. This is an incredibly vivid color. And for a lot of people, it's a pretty brave color to put on. So I actually never thought that I could wear it, but like you're saying, as you start feeling more balance, you start feeling like I can go bolder. I'm not afraid to show myself to the world. And I would almost say I would love to challenge you all, just pick one color that you like, oh, I have it, but it's not that bright. Just try something bright, something different, something just vividly expressing to the world. And even if you're just going to wear it in your house, just give it a feel, right? I feel great wearing green. Oh, I have a train.
Green.
You're a train. I'm in Norcross.
Yeah, and any color can be, and any color, even black can be okay. It can be grounding. But if you only have black, that's the difference.
Yeah, and so it was actually, you kind of leading to quite a few points that I really would love to dive into. So I spent time traveling. So first of all, I grew up in a rural, well, it's not so rural. It's semi-middle class, but definition middle class was very different where I lived. But it's Ukraine. It was socialistic era. And as you see movies, anytime you see rainbow fighting somebody, what do you see about my world that I grew up in? Everybody's wearing gray. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with outfits with uniforms. Mm-hmm. Even school, in schools were uniforms, black or brown, that's it. And you had to put like either white or blank little collar, just to indicate like, oh, it's a celebration or not. So I grew up with so much lack of color, and I did not live in a vastly colorful parts of, like, it was city, it was like a domino buildings. So one thing I love about here is selection you have, and coming from such a gray area and coming into the color here, that was just complete shock to me. So I've never thought certain colors cannot go together. I'm like, they're all beautiful. So either I was balanced or I was starving. But you actually brought up a point about public color project. And I would love, and I'll see if I can share a screen. I pulled it up. Would you share a little
Yeah.
bit about what have you learned about how applying color to certain life situations, how transformation can happen outside of your wardrobe?
I mean, like this nonprofit called Public Color, which is in New York City, they used color just in paint. So they brought light to these different these different schools. So these were very high risk schools. And Anna's kind of flipping through these before and after shots.
They're going on their own. They just flip it.
So they like, you can see how kind of gray and stark they are, and then like how vibrant they become. And so the students reported that they felt safer like after they were painted. I mean, that's already a huge thing, that they felt safer. The graffiti went away because the artists respected it. They saw this as art when you painted it and created this design. The teachers reported like they felt happier, and the students and teachers were more likely to go to school. These were very high risk schools. They were able to focus better. They were able to, they weren't as distracted, and they felt happier. And this is simply through color. So they were using very like low, it doesn't cost that much. I mean, it's paint. It's just, you're not rearranging the building or anything. And they've done studies on like thousands of people, over 1,000 people in different countries, UK, Argentina, Sweden, Saudi Arabia. And they did this in workplaces too. And they found that the same results, basically, that people that worked in environments that were more vibrant, they had more energy, they could think better, they had more clarity, and they were happier. They enjoyed coming to work or school. So the power of that color is really transformative, and really color is light. You don't have the color is light. It's a wavelength of light. So that's what we're able to see with our eyes and experience that. And it's not just the mental, emotional, but you really feel it, that they are able to be more accomplished, and to get through the school and through work. That's giving on so many levels. So pretty transformative. I think that's amazing. And I'm glad you were able to flip through those images.
I know, I'm so excited about that. I was like, yes, my first time screen.
So that's on the Public Color website. It's a nonprofit. Yeah, definitely take a look.
I will link to them in my blog when I put it together. And actually, I was telling Arlene, this was funny. My husband, he's interested in where I came from, so he decided to pull up on Google. Was it Google Map? So we pulled up my town. I was like, really? So we actually walked to my school, and oh my God, my school is Pepto-Bismol pink. I'm not over exaggerating. I probably could even pull it up, but it is crazy. So it's interesting what impressions that those memories leave with us. And I got to look up what this Pepto-Bismol has done to me. So one of the things was interesting. You shared with me something. I didn't grow up in this country, and I didn't study history of where we have been, but you've shared with me something interesting, that they used to actually teach color theory, right? There
was a historian that had written that, over 100 years ago, it just used to be a regular part of education, that if you were considered educated, you'd gone to school, then it was part of the curriculum, and people understood color and theory and what it meant. And so that wheel that you brought up, that's like, and I mean, there's definitely artists that know so much more about color than I do in terms of like that aspect, but I love to talk about it just like from the healing aspect, and that what it means to a person, and how you can incorporate it very easily through paint, through jewelry, through your clothes, sometimes just like mixing and matching things you didn't think to put together.
So one thing you share, again, we had this pre-call that was awesome. So I always tell people, like, wear color around your face. Like, I don't know what it is about, but every few minutes that you happen to be in the bathroom or in front of a mirror, you'll get a glimpse of something happy and colorful. And I know every time I put jewelry on, I smile. So you actually shared with me, there's a reasoning why.
Well, this is what I had come up with. I mean, so when the embryo develops in utero, so when the mom is pregnant, the baby's developing, and the embryo, and that turns into the fetus, it's curled up, right? It's like curled up, fetus position, right? That's what they say, fetal position. So the face is like curled up into the heart. So as it develops, the face actually uncurls like a fern from the heart. So the face is actually the expression, you know, of the heart. It shows you what the heart is feeling. And that's, yeah, that's so beautiful. So when you said like, you know, put color near the face, I'm like, oh, that's because it's showing, it's like what your heart feels. And so if you look in the mirror and you're reminded of that, I mean, those moments, it just takes a moment, moments of healing. It just the seconds, right? Scattered throughout your day. If you look in the mirror, and then you're like, oh, every time you look at yourself, oh, look at that.
During the pandemic, there was 2 months of the store was closed completely, and I would go by myself and I would set up my light and I'd do little either live or video, and I started talking a lot about things, and I also was experiencing things at the same time. And I remember every time I would start putting things on, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I just had to pick me up, because you know, I don't see customers. I did a video with just workout clothes. I was like, look, this is what I look like right now. And I had maybe 7 or 8 people email me, either messaging or email me, and they said, as soon as I finished the call, I don't know why, but well, they didn't say I don't know why, but they said I went and you told me. Yet that's why. They went and got something out of like on a Balkan jewelry on, because again, they're communicating with me, but they put it on and it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I know that part of healing that happens, and they say it when people have any kind of illness, attitude, the personal attitude, how you go through things. It's not what's happening to you, it's how you internalize and express it, how you allow yourself to be in this moment makes a difference. And yeah.
No, but like how much that, like we talk about the pandemic right now, how much that will do for your immune system and your resilience. So this is not just like, oh, feel good. This is really like feel good all the way down to the cellular level. And so, yeah, if you can sprinkle that throughout your day and you see those pops of color and on yourself too, where you feel joyful, every time you feel that, it's not that you have to like feel blissful every second, because there's ups and downs. It's natural to go. That would not be natural if we always stayed in one state all the time. But those joyful moments, you string them together, and each time that is like you're boosting your immune system. You're upping like that resilience that you have. It's really amazing and very powerful. And, you know, really doesn't, I mean, it's just right there. You don't have to go get a prescription for it or anything. You can use this anytime. You have access to color anytime.
So with your knowledge in the medical field, but also your learnings through your multidimensional vision into the world now, would you recommend so we're talking right now coming out of pandemic, or people still trying to recover emotionally, and they're trying to find some sort of way to boost their immune system? Is there a color, or is there anything you could, I know we're not prescriptive here, by the way, this is
just information.
Yeah, don't
this is not to replace any medical advice by any means.
Yes. Is there a color that you would be recommending if you're comfortable doing that? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I was thought, and there's several. So it really sort of depends on how you feel. And I really liked the color that you picked as well, which I know you're going to talk about more. Well, yeah. I'll tell about other colors first.
Okay.
So if you want a little boost of energy, then just some pops of yellow through your day. You don't have to flood yourself with any certain color. Just even like pops of it can, even like little secret yellow, like if you
Banana.
yeah,
Hold a banana.
would be great, just to give a little boost of energy, because I know a lot of people are feeling kind of like low energy. And then if you're feeling like your mind's kind of going and going, you can bring like just more soothing colors, like a soft blue and white, just to kind of like bring that down some. And to really open the heart is like a pink, like a rose quartz, which I think I have in here.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Which is really great. That I would probably pick rose quartz. And I know my friend Carrie, who talks a lot about crystals too, Carrie Hamilton, who works with me, she had also mentioned rose quartz as a healing and just really being like a heart opening. But I know you had a color, and I also want to say some things about it too.
Oh yeah. So when we were planning, we had so many topics that we're like, oh my God, I'm going to talk about this, but it's like, how do you streamline? We're actually going to have a second talk where we're going to talk about energy of stones and colors and dive more into chakras, but that's second talk. So we separating that, but I kind of threw in, what is your favorite color? Maybe we can talk about it. And I will tell you from my experience with customers, color preferences change. Even my kids, I ask, what's your favorite color? I always told you it's blue. I'm like, yeah, right. Sure you told me it was blue. It was green last week. So we do change. So I don't know why, but over the last few weeks, I felt orange. Mm-hmm. So bright, vivid orange. I do have a few pieces that have orange, but I started incorporating it everywhere. And I made a few pieces that are just orange. And, a lot of times it's intuitive. You kind of like, oh my God, I don't know what it is.
You're so spot on. So spot on.
Yeah. The brain is echoing my enthusiasm. Yes. But I've always noticed that people that, like, when you start talking to customers and like, oh my God, I love orange color. When you start talking to them, they happen to be in the creative field, or they transitioning their life. They either retired and they want to do something, or they graduated from school and now they getting into this completely new area they never considered before. So orange has always been this color, this stimulation of creativity. And we looked up a little bit that, part of what makes orange is you take yellow and you take red. Yes. And like you said, yellow is happiness, it's sunshine. Mm-hmm. And then red is going to be your base, your stability, your groundness, and you put it together. Uh-huh. And no wonder orange has these magical qualities to kind of brighten your day, but keep you just feet on the ground.
Yeah, it's like a healing color for so many different things. And it's really, it really, because there's so much fear in the world right now, orange is a great color to kind of like lift you out of that. So like you said, it takes a lot, a lot of creative people that love orange. And so in that way, it takes a bit of courage. So it takes you out of the fear and puts you more into the courage to be creative. Which is really, really great right now. And that's like part of my mission is just like to bring the arts back and to kind of bring it back as like a movement, as a healing movement, because it represents all of that. And oh my gosh, I can talk so much more about that. But
I was gonna make a quick suggestion. If you do not feel comfortable with orange right now, I would challenge you, just fall in love with tangerine. Just carry it next to you for a few days and just have it next to you and see if your perspective of orange changes. And then we can talk what else we can do. But you have your choice of a color, right? That you love, that inspires you right now?
For me?
Yes. All colors beautiful.
I'm like, well, it kind of depends on the day.
The day is this.
Yeah, I love like a rainbow of colors. I love like blues and greens and yellows in general, but you can expand that out. Anyone will say like I wear purples, and I have lots of different colors. And part of that's like when I had kids too, I started to bring back a lot of color into my wardrobe because they would comment on what I was wearing and they're like, "Mommy, why are you wearing that color? It's so kind of drab."
No filters, those little people, right?
But then I started to look at things a little bit differently because, like what you said, if you're corporate or business, or I was working in the hospitals, and then at that time it's just like, okay, just the same sort of things I was wearing. But then I started to pay attention more. I'm like, wow, they're saying that. I'm like, huh, like what? I want to wear colors that actually, when they look at it and they're like, oh, this is great. That makes me feel good too. You know, when
I was going to say, because they don't think, they feel.
Yes.
And they feel certain way around you. And when they see you wear certain colors, they feel certain way. And usually it means happy. If they don't like it, they will be like, no, no, no.
Yeah. So in general, I mean, we were talking about like different ages of like what colors people kind of gravitate towards. And yeah, kids, because they're just so open, everything's new to them. So the world is colorful and they just soak it up, and they're not afraid of color. And then as they start to get older, the colors sort of change a bit. So maybe in adolescent years, they start to tone it down some, but it's not like I don't think of it as like a bad thing. And you start to see, like, a lot of times teenagers start to incorporate black and dark colors, but that is actually okay, because what they're trying to do, they're going through so much change, they're just trying to ground themselves. And so black is a very grounding color. When it becomes out of balance is if you're only wearing black. But if they're wearing black and they're still wearing like other colors too.
Blue hair.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. See, they're still open to all the different colors and expression and being able to experience life and to flow with life. But they go through those stages, and it's just like the stages of life. And then as we get older, then we get through the patterns of the culture, what we've learned. And so sometimes we get stuck in a certain way things have to look. Sometimes it becomes like very neutral or monochromatic, which it doesn't have to be that way. That's just something that kind of been imprinted on as a culture. And not all cultures are like that.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that as well. Like, I was hoping we can talk a little bit about health, but we can come back to the culture for a minute too. So one of the things that we've observed, like I grew up in a great country, but then when I went to Africa as a visitor a few years ago, I went twice actually. The vibrance, it's unbelievable. The fabrics, the beads, everything is just so vibrant. And when you and I talked, and you said that there was a correlation to, it's not just culture, but it's also had a relation to what kind of class you fall into, and kind of how societies have changed their interpretation and allocation of color based on where you are on certain and then you had a term for it. You're like, I don't want to use it. Like, use it. What is it?
Well, sometimes, yeah. So sometimes designers have heard and say that it's chromophobia, which is like a fear of using color, because sometimes you just don't even know where to start if you're not used to it. And it's partly like kind of going back to your childhood self and tapping into that and seeing what your childhood self would love. But yeah, sometimes some other people have called it like color allergy. And there's a reason for that too. Like,
that's a great transition. So one of the things that you shared with me, which was the reason why I actually wanted to have this talk, was that color relates to our bodies in so many ways, and there are aspects to our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health that is directly correlated to color. So I would love it if you would share your knowledge and experience and about kind of healing properties of color, and maybe starting with what you were talking about, adolescence and memories and mental health.
There's a great book by Jacob Lieberman, who's an optometrist, and he had studied like light and color. And there's some exercises that I had actually talked to him, and he had walked me through some exercises. There also in his book, but of how you feel about each color. And like what you said, don't think, it's like how you feel. So if you could go through each color like one by one, you could start with white. White is all the colors reflected. So, and then you can go through the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and kind of go through and see, you know, just how do you feel about each color? And certain ones you may kind of shy away from, and that's okay. You may know why, you may not. May be more subconscious. It may remind you of certain things. It might bring up a memory. But if it does bring up something, like if you don't like a color, then it's really just kind of showing you what area in your life might need some tending to. For example, when we were talking about like when I organized my closet in rainbow color, and then I had certain colors like red and orange that I used to love, but then like kind of strayed away from. And when I started to like delve into it, of kind of like, okay, let me feel, what feeling do I feel of why am I trying to shy away from it? So then I started to remember like, oh, maybe like uncomfortable moments in childhood or in growing up. And so those are just like aspects of myself that needed an embracing and a healing. So when you can like look at all parts of yourself, any part of your story, and kind of embrace that and really like bring it back home, you're just seeing and hearing yourself, acknowledging your experience. So all of your experience is valuable to you. And once you're able to really feel that, you start to think of the color, feel the color differently. And so that's why I say, I'm like, oh, okay, when you're in balance, like you can look at the whole spectrum of the rainbow and all the colors feel beautiful to you.
Well, you may spend a whole life getting to the point of balance, but I think you bring it up. A great exercise idea is if there is a color, you know, fundamentally, oh God, no, no. Yeah. David, in his book, David Zeiler, who we talked to last week, in his book, he talks about orange. And he had this memory. He had to reflect back, what is this about orange that just was not okay? And it's a memory of a shirt that was more of a polyester, and it was creepy. Like it was just, people have memories associated with, maybe there was a bully in school that would be in the corner and you could see him because he's wearing this yellow stripe something. So colors do stick with us. The memory is actually colorful. It's not a black and white template, so you can tell yourself, oh my God, I can sit in front of the therapist and work on my psyche and everything is black and white. It's not. So healing your mental, your subconsciousness, your blockages can begin with just simple exercise. What is that color that you know? So I actually always say, oh my God, pink, no. And now I'm like, I looked up at Pepto-Bismol school. So I'm like, yes, it makes sense. I'm going to do some healing from that. But figure out what that color is and try to see, either you meditate or you just have quiet moments, or you kind of ask yourself before you go to bed, and maybe you'll remember in the morning, did something happen? And what was it? Did somebody make you feel small? Did somebody make you feel something is wrong with you? There also could be relationship. Maybe you went to a hospital with some sibling or whoever, and somebody was mean to you and they wore purple, and you have certain correlations of unhealth with certain colors. So I would say find that color and see what comes up.
And when we're dealing with matters of the heart, so it's I mean, color actually helps you feel, helps you be more connected with yourself. And when you're connected with yourself, you can be more connected with other people. So I think about that husband and wife you were talking about. I'm like, well, yeah, it can improve relationships. It can improve, you know, because when you feel good, then it's like that ripple effect around you. And, but when I was saying, when you are dealing with matters of the heart, just approach them gently, because if you feel like you're deficient in a certain color, it's not about flooding yourself all of a sudden with that color, because you want to introduce it very nicely, very gently, in a way that feels good to you. So you want to accept it, be able to embrace it in it kind of like slowly. So if you don't like yellow, or like what you're saying, if you don't like orange, then maybe the tangerine, maybe you're okay with yellow. So you can combine it with a shade, and that color feels a bit safer. And then you can introduce it that way.
Yeah, and I'm always here for you if you would like to have something incorporated. Like I have somebody who just feels orange, and I was designing custom piece for her, but it's mostly blue and green, and she's just like, I don't know what it is, and we adding some orange. And so we can balance things and start incorporating colors. Just again, this is back to you and figuring out what that means to you. And as we talked throughout this time, what gives you higher immune response and rebuilds your white blood cells, it rebuilds your body, regenerates your cells. A lot of it stems from your ability to be at peace, your ability to be calm, your ability to feel joy and happiness. I tell you this all the time. You're sick, do not watch Sick Stuff. Watch something that makes you laugh. So knowing that there's a direct correlation between looking at something vibrant and colorful, again, next to your face, put something, or just hold on to something around you, flowers. But try to incorporate color right now as part of the healing that is happening. And I had another question, actually. I'm looking at the clock. There's 10 minutes left.
I've got time.
Okay. So some of the aspects of healing when it comes to color deal with, your mental, your kind of memories, etc. And we said that color can help rebuild your immune system. You started sharing with me a little bit about some other functions of your body that could be related to certain colors. Would you say if you want to improve your liver, would that be part of kind of, is it too far stretched to say, like, start adding certain colors? Maybe
it's like a little bit, it sort of depends. This is when we start to get into the energetics of the body instead of like thinking about the chemistries. But yes, you can, because everything's integrated, and then the way you feel, a lot of times those memories and those emotions, they're going to be in the body as a tension, or it can be like the different organs in the body actually tend to represent like different kinds of emotions. So when you had mentioned the liver tends to, this is not like a hard and fast rule, but it tends to represent like frustration or anger. It can be like mild frustration to like
drinking during the pandemic.
Yes, it can be like from physical things too, but their mental, emotional things have their effects on the physical function of the body as well. And so yes, if you were to think about it from that level, then for the liver, it would be orange or yellow, because that's just like the level that they incorporate that kind of healing.
And I would love to, in the next call, to actually talk a little bit about those specific areas in your body. But of course, I stole my own, like, no, let's not talk about it today. We talked about how color throughout certain things you're trying to experience can change your mood. And you shared with me that depending on the time of the day, certain colors are better. So if we were to leave people with some good takeaway, would you help us kind of map out from your knowledge throughout the day? Yes.
So vibrant colors tend to have more energy. So vibrant colors have more light reflected, and they're going to be like higher energy. So if you need energy, like when you get up, then pops of like vibrant colors would be great. Whether it's really like any yellow, blue, green, whatever feels good to you. That would be nice to kind of wake up to. And then as you kind of go through your day, if you need to wind down, then you need more subtle colors, so not as much the pops, because you don't want as much energy. You want to be able to like wind down. And again, if you need to kind of bring down your thoughts, it's like just like the peaceful blue, or if you're like many of us on devices a lot and having to look at a screen has a lot of blue light to it, which can interfere with your sleep and your just the melatonin, which goes through, it helps you sleep. So if you need to, you can always wear like the blue blocking glasses too. And then if you, as you're going to sleep, again, like less vibrant colors and like more like calm or pastel kind of colors.
Well, and it's, I always say, you know, if you want to have a good day tomorrow, you have to plan it today. So how you go to sleep today, what you eat, what you expose yourself before you go to sleep will determine your next day. And, you know, surround yourself with things that remind you that you're beautiful, remind you that you're safe. We are so fortunate that we are living in the part of the world that, pandemic or not, we do have food, we do have paper towels and toilet paper. Who would have guessed? They keep making it. So remembering that you're safe, surrounding yourself with things that give you peace, beginning your day with vibrance. Have an orange, put something vibrant on, look at some flowers, but incorporate that as the beginning of your day, and start finding joy in things that remind you about your childhood, remind you who you really are, and you're not a situation, you are interpreter. Interpret things well for yourself, and your body will respond. It will respond healthier, it will regrow healthier. So if this is kind of my 2 cents, I would love to see if you had kind of final words to how to help people transition into more of a healthier recovery.
Yes, it's really to be gentle with yourself and be open to listening to yourself, because during this time of pandemic, so many things are being brought to the surface. So many things are being triggered because, you know, we have time also, and we're being asked to kind of like deal with these old wounds that are now have the time to be able to heal. And you can use color to help you do that. And you can use color to be your guide too, to see which areas like need more healing, need more tending to. And when you can open your minds and just be willing to kind of bring that all back, just hug yourself back in. I mean, yeah, doing that is like already
love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're kind of cocooned by yourself and you don't have a family bubble that you're quarantined with, this is a great thing to do. Just like hug yourself back in, hug all those colors back in. It's your choice of how you want to do it, and do it, follow the path of ease for you. Have courage, but don't be forceful. Just follow that ease. And if you follow the ease, it will be so much more efficient. This is something I talk about all the time, because we sometimes have a mindset that we have to work really hard to get better. But if you could shift a little bit and just see where the ease is, and to me, color is ease.
I'm the dealer. I have people, actually, they joke, but at some point I was like, you need to stop texting me that. They would text me like, I just left your crack house. I'm like, stop, don't call it that. But you know, it's
I'm prescribing.
I'm prescribing joy, and
it's not, I'm just kidding. It's not medical advice.
Yeah.
But this is such a beautiful way to incorporate any kind of healing and recovery. And loving yourself.
Be patient with yourself. Create a routine that incorporates, kind of sets you for the success the next day, gently. look through your closet and see what's in, just see what your closet, what story is being told. Look into color history of your life and see if something brings up memories. All of these aspects will help you start healing. And again, your body is so connected to your mind. And we'll talk next time a lot more about not just color, but just energy, that we are electromagnetic human beings. You know, you stick your fingers in an outlet, you're gonna get electrocuted. So I'd love to explore the world that is a little bit less traditional and getting more into kind of energy and spirituality. So I hope you're willing to go on the journey with me. And I wonder if we can wind up wearing the same color. And actually, it's interesting. The green, so there's interpretations to the heart chakra to be the pink or green.
Yeah.
And actually, traditionally, it's considered green, but we modern interpretation relates a lot more towards pink because people like that color is bubblegummy. It's a heart, but green is truly an ability that helps you open up to the world and embrace the world. And that was my one prayer for this morning, is to have an opportunity to talk and just remind people that you are beautiful, and you will come out of this, and you're going to be stronger. And may anything you heard today give you something of interesting to explore within yourself. And we are here for questions. Feel free to email, feel free to direct message, and we'll let you know when we're going to do this again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. If anyone would like to get in touch with me, you can on my Instagram, All Worlds Health, or Facebook, or my website is allworldshealth.com. And I had a great time talking color with you.
I know, you and I cannot stop talking.
We could go on for a few more hours.
So thank you, everybody, and may today be filled with possibilities. Big love.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.